Well, I'm excited to be here and provide a little bit different perspective for you all today. I've enjoyed the conversation throughout the day, and I've taken a few notes because I think part of what we're going to do is dive into some of the student experiences that have been talked about by various presenters. Again, my name is Tricia Berry, and I lead the Women in Engineering program at UT Austin. I've been involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion work for about 20 years now, or more, it feels like. And also lead the Greater Austin STEM ecosystem. So I've done a lot of work trying to build collaborations and work across different systems to advance STEM equity, to advance learning in STEM spaces across our communities. So I took some notes throughout the day because I think it's going to frame a little bit about what we're going to talk about and what you're going to hear from our students. We're going to talk about the future of work because that's the whole point of the day. And I took some notes from earlier, Brandon's talk earlier, right at the very beginning of the day, talking about 98% of provosts say that they feel they're doing a good job preparing students for the future of work. I think what you're going to find is that I definitely feel like in the STEM spaces and engineering in particular, we are preparing students for the workforce and giving them some of those skill sets that they're going to need to be able to adapt and to be agile as work changes. I thought it was interesting throughout the day that sometimes we really didn't get focused in on the STEM side of things when we're talking about higher education, and I do feel when we're talking about engineering, when we're talking about science, when we're talking about computer science degrees, we are educating a little bit differently in spaces where we are providing students some of those critical problem-solving skills to help them be successful when they get out in the workplace. And as we talked about empowering the student voice, that's what this is all about. So I have 4 fabulous students who are here with us today. I know, and they were all a little nervous, and I told them it's all good. This is a friendly crowd. We have 2 of them who have been on panels before and 2 who have not, so this is great practice. And we're going to kind of walk through a few questions, but then we're going to have plenty of time for you all to ask them questions as well. So the first thing I wanted to have them do is have them introduce themselves. And so you've got their name and their major and their year up here, but they'll reiterate that, and then they'll tell you what they are excited about in the future for the major that they're in. You'll notice we have 4 different disciplines that are represented here. So I told them to share with us a little bit about what they're excited about in the future of their own work. So Jackie, you want to start?
Okay. Hi, my name is Jackie Kelly. I'm currently a second-year mechanical engineering student at UT. Something that I'm really excited about going forward in the field of mechanical engineering specifically is how broad it is. So, it covers every discipline out there. And so that leaves a lot of room for just overall technological advancement and just everything that you can do with technology going forward, whether it's in medical or in space exploration or aerospace or defense. Anywhere in there, and that's where mechanical engineering comes in, and that's something that I'm really excited about.
I'm Corrine Mercato. I'm a second-year architectural engineering major, and I'm excited to be a part of innovating the world for the better. We live in a world where buildings are a huge part of our day-to-day life. We're in a building right now, and architectural engineers play a huge role in creating structurally sound, innovative, effective buildings, and my dream job would be to build structures on the moon or on Mars or something, the tallest building in the world, something that would really change the world. And yeah.
Hi, my name is Rahul Mohan. I'm a second-year petroleum engineering student, and something I'm really looking forward to is changing the face of how we get energy. So energy almost runs our world. Everything we do, just driving here, it runs our world. And I'm really excited to make it, A, more environmentally friendly, and B, I want to make it a more inclusive atmosphere, make it more diverse. So I'm really excited to do that in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate Danamiller. I'm a senior civil engineering student here at UT, and I'm a bit older, so I'm on the brink of having to decide what's next. And take my GRE on Saturday, so my hope is grad school. And I've been really interested at UT. There's a huge push for the study of automated vehicles, so I've gotten to learn a lot about even the socioeconomic and like social behavioral aspects behind that, which is what I'm really interested in. But civil, I was drawn to just because everything that we see, like looking out this window, everything that I see is affected by civil engineering. It's what we do. We build infrastructure for people to live their lives around. So that's something that I've been really drawn to.
Awesome. So a lot of our time today has been talking about the formal education space, and so I thought I would start with all of them and a question around their formal education experiences in college. So they're in the classroom experiences, they're in the lab experiences, those things that they have to do in order to get their degree in engineering. And so how have those types of experiences in your formal academic experience prepared you feel for the future work? What are some of those skills that you're gaining, some of those experiences that you're gaining in your classrooms or in your labs?
So this is my second year at the University of Texas, and I feel like my education has been completely holistic. I mean, absolutely, I'm learning math and science and STEM, and it's very rigorous, but I've also taken classes where I have to speak and where I have to write and articulate myself in a well-mannered way. And also, there's ways in some of my classes we have to collaborate with other students and do projects and communicate effectively. Just yesterday, I was assigned in one of my architectural engineering classes to build a house like about this size, and for the first time I wasn't given a rubric or specific parameters. It just needs to be structurally sound, and I'm supposed to collaborate with my peers to do so. And I think that's a better reflection of the workplace and the world. You know, projects aren't always going to be just on a poster where you research a topic. It's more engineering focused.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. A big thing at UT is having the collaboration and creating those methods of communication where there's this stereotype that, engineers can't communicate with each other. And there's actually a class at UT that all engineers have to take called Communications, where it's teaching you how to communicate not only with other engineers, but also other students who aren't engineers, and putting that super technical language into something that's a little bit easier to understand, if you don't have a bachelor's in engineering. But another thing is just we're learning how to learn and learning how we learn best. Something that I was told when I first came here last year was that a lot of what you learn your first year of college, 5 years after you graduate, won't be relevant anymore because of all the technological advances that I mentioned earlier are happening. And so, it may not be relevant anymore, but you learned how to learn it. And that's a lot of what you get out of UT engineering and also higher education in general, is just getting those problem solving and cognitive skills so that you can figure out stuff as you get into the workplace.
Going off of what both Corrine and Jackie said, I think something that's really emphasized is real life situations. So in my petroleum lab last year, we were given different objectives, like maybe you're trying to minimize costs, maybe you're trying to maximize the flow of oil. But there's different real life objectives that we're trying to get at, and those different scenarios are presented in a way where we can't just solve it by ourselves, but we need to talk to other people to get different sources of information. And I really think that's something that's going to be applicable in the workforce, because you're not a one-person company. You're a company full of different people with different backgrounds and different specialties. So I think that interperson communication is something that's really emphasized at UT.
Yeah, so I've actually talked to a lot of people about this because there are certain degrees, and engineering is one of them, where you need to go to school to get a diploma. It's not something where you can go out into the workforce and just say, I know what's going on, throw me in there, coach, It's you need a piece of paper saying you're qualified, and it's that way for teachers, for engineers, if you want to go to med school. So we're in a degree where we need those background skills, and UT is really great about not just giving us a really great baseline to jump off of once we leave school. It gives us a really great opportunity to kind of college is invaluable, to be in a college environment and have that collaboration, not just with other students, but with professors who, if you were to just sit down and read a book on your own, you would never get that perspective. So my college experience has been invaluable in that way, where I've gotten to have conversations with people that are mind-blowing in different ways, and you get to learn all sorts of different things that you never would if you were to just leave high school and go straight into the workforce.
Awesome. So they have their formal classroom experiences. These are all also students who are serving in a variety of leadership capacities on campus. You see a couple of them have their burnt orange engineering ambassador shirts that are on. That's a program that we have within the Cockrell School where students take a class and they learn how to be ambassadors for the School of Engineering, how to speak in front of groups, how to be on panels, how to go out there and talk about their engineering degree in a way that is going to engage the public using research-based best practices. We also have student organization leaders, students who are serving as officers or committee chairs and engaged in their student organizations on campus, also as a way to gain some of those skills that they believe they're going to need and experiences to be successful in the workplace. So I'm going to throw that at them now. I'm talking about your engineering ambassador experiences, your student organization experiences. How is that contributing to your growth, your future of work?
As ambassadors, we are taught, as she kind of touched on, how to be inclusive. We're taught language we're supposed to use when we speak to prospective students, and we're also instructed on how to communicate engineering to fifth graders, which are excellent skills because not everyone in the world is an engineer and not everyone in the world speaks in the language of physics and statics and dynamics. So skills like that are awesome for, the future too.
So I really think that these opportunities allow you to see a change you want made and to really go for making that change. So I know for me, whenever I first came to UT, I felt like my department was a bit homogenous. And so that's something that really motivated me to try and form that community within petroleum engineering. So I joined Women in Petroleum Engineering. So yes, I'm not a woman, but I felt like I really wanted to make that community a lot stronger and to make people feel more comfortable going into a field that wasn't typically like woman dominated or typically like primarily made out of females. And then I also came from a school of 32 people to UT, so that's a huge, like, drastic change. So there was a transition period for me as a freshman. And so something I really wanted to do was I wanted to give back, help other freshmen navigate that process. Or I'm a sophomore. But so that's why I became a FIG mentor, which is a freshman interest group mentor. So I'm helping 20 other freshmen in my major navigate that transition, whether it be roommates, like cooking for yourself, just getting through classes, understanding that it's not so bad to go to tutoring, not so bad to go to office hours, which things that you don't really do in high school. So I think it's really that opportunity to be the change that you want to be,
So on top of being an ambassador, I actually work for the Women in Engineering program. Tricia's my boss. And this is my third year working for them, but I was kind of brought into that community right off the bat when I was accepted into UT. They send out emails saying, we're here for you, here are the tools, we want you to be able to succeed, and they do. They follow through and they guide you through and make sure that you know that even though our school at UT is 70% male, you can be at 30% and you can build on that 30% to increase the number of women within your major and within the school. So I started working at WEP and have become a part of that community where we push, and we have Girl Day once a year where we have 9,000 little girls come to UT and they get to learn about STEM and their eyes are open to things that maybe they would have never seen before, and that's something that was completely invaluable to me, is to be a part of that. And even when I go off into the workforce one day, to maybe be a part of a program within the company that I'm working for that has an initiative to bring more women in.
Yeah, something that I've been really fortunate is that I've been a leader in a couple of student organizations, not only Women in Mechanical Engineering, but also the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, and just being able to create that community where I came into UT not really knowing anybody. I was kind of on my own, and being able to form that community, I actually do think is a very transferable skill to go into the workplace, where, you're not going to know anybody probably at the company where you choose to work after you graduate, or where you choose to intern or choose to co-op while you're in school. And being able to say like, hi, I don't know you, we're in the same boat, my name's Jackie, I'm a second year, what's your name? And just getting that skill coming into college and just being really comfortable going like, hi, I don't know you, do you want to be friends?
Okay. So you talked about a number of those extracurricular activities. I'm going to dive into a few of those that we talked about out in the hallway that haven't come up yet. We talked a little bit about research, undergraduate research, and how that experience plays into your skill building and helping you prepare for the workforce. So anyone want to talk about their research experiences or your project experiences? Some of you have had some projects you've worked on as well.
Yeah, so I was actually fortunate enough to do research my first semester in college, which is really an experience that most kids don't get to have. It was through a program called the First Year Introduction to Research and Engineering through the Mechanical Engineering Department. And I got to work with a robot for an aerospace company called Wilder Systems and testing that and testing algorithms and programs and compiling data and all that. Not gonna lie, it made me realize I don't really want to do research. But it's a learning experience. It's right up there with like you may intern somewhere and you're like, wow, I really don't want to do that with my life.
Does this sound familiar to what we talked about earlier? This actually came up earlier, so real life example right here.
Look at me contributing to the conversation. But it's right up there with like, I didn't actually waste a semester. I learned like, I really don't like drilling holes, and that's fine. But it was definitely a learning experience because, again, like I didn't know anybody in my group. And I didn't know anything about this robot, and I didn't know anything about the project. And it's going into research, especially as an undergraduate, you don't have the expertise that some people may think you need to do research. Research is generally associated with graduate students and PhDs and doctorates and professors that are doing research at the university, and it's not necessarily associated with undergraduates always. And so realizing that, like, yeah, I have this opportunity, I just need to ask a whole bunch of questions to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing.
So I'm currently doing research right now with the Graduate Leading Undergraduate Experience, the GLUE program at UT. And so I'm actually doing research in biomechanics, which is an area not in petroleum, but what I'm doing right now is I'm using SolidWorks, which is a software to model heart stents. So part of you, like most of you guys are like, why is he doing that? Like, what's the deal with that? And so I really wanted to diversify my experience. I feel like having one experience, it can be valuable, but having a broader sphere of experiences allows you to go into things at multiple angles, learning how different things come together. So one thing I really like about research is that I'm able to take something that, I learned in class, maybe like modeling softwares, things like that are also applicable in petroleum, but see how that affects everyday things in real life. Like my grandfather actually had a heart attack, and so now, and he has a heart stent, which is what I'm working with. So things like that, seeing how all of that work, all of that learning goes into creating something so tangible that we use in everyday life. I think that's really cool at UT. Yeah.
So I've never done research. I've had internships, and my first one I got to work on the Holocaust Museum in Houston, and then my second one I was doing land development for all sorts of different projects going on in Houston as well. So those were all critical because you really do find out what you do and don't like, and not even that, but also what you love. That's a funny thing. My dad used to always say, like, if you don't know what you want to do, go cook hamburgers until you figure it out, and then you'll know one thing that you don't want to do. So it's along the same lines, you learn what you do and you don't like, and you learn the skills that you want to have and that you think are more critical to your pathway in the future.
Last year, I got the opportunity to be a part of the University of Texas's Hyperloop competition team called Texas Guadalupe. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Hyperloop, it is a up-and-coming innovation of public transportation. It's still in the works, but to encourage engineers and young minds to be a part of this movement, SpaceX hosts these competitions that colleges can be a part of. And me, in my calculus and chemistry classes, I wasn't exactly equipped to work on pneumatic systems as a freshman, but I learned a lot about the environment in which an engineer works. I got to work at the J.J. Pickle Research facility and observe the collaborative nature of the group. And I did learn about how this pod works, and I learned a little bit about pneumatic systems, and I got to compose a braking report, and I had to call the companies that we were using to supply different components and communicate to them and talk to them. It was just overall a cool experience that reflects something I might do in the future. Yes.
So I'm going to throw it out to you all here in just a second, so be ready with your questions. But I think you can see why I said right at the beginning that I feel like we are doing a great job preparing our students. I don't believe that these students are unique in the STEM spaces, either at UT or at other universities across the country. And we are engaging in those research-based best practices that we know impact learning, that impact student success when they get out into the workforce. And I think it's a testament to the 500 plus companies that come on our campus to recruit these amazing students every single year. So we really are doing a number of things, as you heard from our students, to really prepare them for that uncertainty of the future of work by giving them those skill sets that you're going to need regardless. So thank you, fabulous students, for joining us.